After the race in Melbourne, Mercedes have gained a little bit of momentum thanks to Lewis Hamilton's superb drive. But things aren't looking so bright for his teammate George Russell, who may be facing a penalty thanks to his engine bursting up in flames. And a former Ferrari driver has suggested that Sir Lewis is quietly considering a move to the Scuderia. Who is he, and why is he making such a bold claim? All that plus updates on the W14's future, so stick around to get the full scoop. Due to the fire that occurred in George Russell's Mercedes engine during the Australian Grand Prix, the team was unable to salvage it, increasing the likelihood of him incurring a grid penalty in the current F1 season. Although Russell initially held the leading position during the Melbourne race, he eventually had to retire on lap 18 due to a power unit malfunction that caused flames to come out of his engine. Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes, indicated that the issue might have been linked to a cylinder, but emphasized that a comprehensive investigation would be required to identify the root cause of the problem that terminated the race. However, it has recently been revealed that Mercedes has determined that the V6 internal combustion engine, as well as the turbocharger and other parts, cannot be fixed and are irreparable. While George Russell was competing in fourth place, a fragment of debris got stuck in the cylinder, resulting in a fire. It is still uncertain for Mercedes whether they can salvage other elements like the battery and power electronics. Russell's car is anticipated to receive a new engine before the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which is scheduled to take place towards the end of the month. This replacement means that Russell will have utilized 2 V6 engines this season. As per regulations, drivers are restricted to using only 3 power units throughout the season. Consequently, the likelihood of Russell receiving a grid penalty during the course of the year has increased substantially. And as for the W14 itself, James Allison, the chief technical officer at Mercedes, has disclosed the team's agenda during the April break. He stated the crucial aspects that they will concentrate on before the Baku race, as they aim to regain their supremacy in the Formula One Championship for the 8th time. Following a challenging start to the season in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, the Silver Arrows exhibited a better performance in Australia, where Lewis Hamilton secured a second-place finish, and both him and his teammate George Russell briefly held the lead during the race. With this momentum, they aspire to proceed to the next race in Azerbaijan and close the gap to the championship leaders, Red Bull, while also distancing themselves from their contenders Aston Martin and Ferrari. In the customary post-race analysis video of the team, the technical head Allison was questioned about Mercedes' strategy during the 4-week interval between Melbourne and Baku. In response, he mentioned, "We will be doing the normal things. We will be working in the drawing office also to bring some mechanical parts to the car, some different suspension components that we think will help the underlying balance of the car, and make it a more drivable thing, making it something that the drivers have more confidence to push right to the limit. We will be working on the normal sort of simulation loop and routines that allow us to prepare for the race weekends that are coming up, making sure that we land the car in the right place when we get to the race." The upcoming F1 sprint in Baku will be the first of the season, and according to Allison, it is crucial for Mercedes to get their setup right early in the weekend. This is because it is a significant milestone for the team, and they aspire to begin with a strong performance. It's a big deal at Baku. It's the first sprint of the weekend, and sprint weekends really reward the teams that can land there with a starting setup that is pretty on the money and ready to go in qualifying, because the time is really compressed in a sprint weekend. Those are things that we will be working on, and hopefully we will work well and strong and have a good showing when we show up in Baku in just a few weeks' time. Lewis Hamilton has expressed his dissatisfaction with the car that Mercedes has constructed for his 2023 Formula One campaign. Following the launch of the vehicle, Hamilton has been vocal about his grievances, even going to the extent of criticizing the FIA for not fulfilling the assurance they had made. After Lewis Hamilton voiced his complaints about the excruciatingly painful driving experience caused by the new ground effect F1 car designs, the FIA intervened and made amendments to the regulations. Ironically, the changes made to the design rules for 2023 have made it even more challenging for drivers to pursue the car ahead. During a conversation in Australia, Hamilton commented, saying, "I think it's still a little bit better than the previous generation of cars, but it hasn't delivered everything they said it would." As a reminder, Hamilton had recently expressed his opinions on the W14 car, where he criticized the driver's seating position, stating that it is too far forward with regards to the 2022 W13 Mercedes car. He said, "We sit closer to the front tires than all the other drivers. Our cockpit is too close to the front." However, Sky Sports' Karun Shandok's assessment indicated that the forward driving position of Mercedes drivers is comparable to that of primary competitors in the Ferrari and Aston Martin cars. On the other hand, the Red Bull design has the drivers seated approximately 20 centimeters further back from the front wheels, which according to Jenson Button would be more suitable for Hamilton's driving style. His interpretation of the situation is, the way he drives, he's quite aggressive on the throttle, quite aggressive on the brake, and he does everything through the steering wheel, so he really needs to feel what's happening through the rear of the car through his arms. And he's not getting that, so he doesn't have the confidence to push the car, and these cars are tricky anyway, especially in qualifying, and if he doesn't have that confidence, he's not able to get the maximum out of it. And according to Ted Kravitz, Hamilton's complaints make no sense. During a Sky F1 podcast, Kravitz was questioned about the significance of Hamilton's opinions being given more weightage by his team. "I'm not sure, because at the beginning of testing, we had a special guest, Mike Elliott. I had all these ideas about the Mercedes and I put them to Mike. I asked if they had moved the cockpit forward and he said no, so I'm all a bit confused. I don't know whether that's something Lewis can go and say, 'See, I told you we were too forward,' and they said, 'Well, you're no more forward than you were before,' so that will come out in the fullness of time, I'm sure." Nonetheless, even though Hamilton is dissatisfied with the current season's car, he affirms feeling amazing about his future with Mercedes in Formula 1, and intends to stay connected with the manufacturer until his final days. Although Hamilton has previously stated his intention to renew his contract with Mercedes, he has yet to announce an extension, even though he is in the final year of his current deal. Mercedes has supported Hamilton since he was 13 years old and was his engine partner for his F1 debut with McLaren. Despite the delay, Hamilton has reiterated his commitment to the team. Toto Wolff has acknowledged that it would be understandable for Hamilton to consider other options in the future if the team cannot offer a more competitive car. However, Hamilton has dismissed this idea and expressed his desire to follow in the footsteps of the legendary driver Stirling Moss, who achieved great success with Mercedes and remain associated with the team until the very end. When asked about his future with Mercedes, Hamilton stated, "I feel amazing about it. I continue to feel very much at home. It's family. I see myself being with Mercedes till my last days, to be honest." If you look at the legends, Sir Stirling Moss was with Mercedes till the end of days, so that's been the dream for me, to one day have that. Well, I have that. So I mean, just continue on with that, and continue to build with the brand. However, Gerhard Berger remains skeptical about Hamilton's statements, suggesting that the British driver could be tempted to leave Mercedes and join the challenge of reviving Ferrari's position at the forefront of Formula 1. "Every racing driver wants to drive for Ferrari at least once. Almost all the good ones have been there," Berger said. "Ayrton Senna just didn't go to the Scuderia because he knew, I can never win there. It may be that Lewis thinks so too, but if he doesn't get a competitive car at Mercedes, if he doesn't see a place at Red Bull Racing, then he might think, I don't want to stop just yet. I want to try Ferrari again. Maybe I can fix it." Although Lewis constantly emphasizes that he would never leave his Mercedes family, that means nothing in Formula 1. No one reveals the cards there. So what do you think? Is Lewis Hamilton secretly considering a move to Ferrari? Tell us about your theory in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.